time to go back to Sumi for some more reaction to all of this.
All right, thank you, Christopher. Well, we've been trying to break down what Donald Trump had to say in his victory speech a little while ago, a very concessionary speech where he talked about being a president to all Americans and to binding the divisions that have driven America apart. And some of those divisions have happened along gender and ethnic and racial lines. And we have now with us to talk more about that is My-Linh Kunst. She is a photographer and a women's rights advocate here in Berlin, and also Yautsin Botello. He's an editor for DW's Latin America service. Thank you both for joining us. Good to have you here with us this morning. First of all, listening to Donald Trump extending an olive branch to his opponents, to the people he offended, among them women, among them Latinos. What was your reaction to that?
As an American and as a woman, I was actually appalled and shocked and sad. You can see I'm wearing a black band because I mourn for a hopeful America, a tolerant America, a positive America, all the things that make us Americans. And Donald Trump has said so many things throughout his campaign. It's a very nice speech that he's made. I'm waiting for that to happen. It's going to be hard for him to reach out to all of these groups that he's offended, to be honest. As a woman, I'm appalled that a sexual predator, a bully, we put them, has been able to come into the White House. So he's going to have to do a lot of reaching out. And I hope that the Republican leadership is going to be able to help him with that. It's going to be a hard road, I think. It's been a very divisive campaign.
Actually, yes. I mean, we can't believe that a man who has been tipped as a sexist, racist,
Correct.
and who started actually his campaign against the Latinos and especially against the Mexicans, saying that we Mexicans are bringing drugs and crime and are rapists, is now the president of the United States. And so I'm pretty shocked as well.
And My-Linh, if I can ask you, we should also mention that you're the president of the American Women's Club here in Berlin. There was a map that came out a few weeks ago that showed that if only women in the U.S. voted, the entire country would have voted blue. Of course, we know not to trust necessarily all the polls and data that we've seen. But what does that say about the gender divide in the U.S. at the moment?
Well, I think in this campaign specifically, we see a huge gender divide. And I think at the beginning, you didn't see that as much. But as we move along and one candidate keeps making offensive statements about women, he's somebody who has 12 women has come out and said that they sexually assaulted him. He has blamed his old divorce on his wife getting a job. When women get a job, go to work, it's trouble. When women, in his companies, when women has been go on maternity leave, he's called that a problem. So, and balance that with the other candidate who wants equal pay, who wants family leave. And who is known for working on women's rights. Therefore, you see the divide. I think it's more obvious in this election than any other time.
And Yautsin, I want to ask you, there was a lot of talk about the Latino vote this time around, that there was a lot of a big spike in early voting, in particular among the Latino community, that we saw many more Latinos voting this time around than even the African-American population. Is that what you had been seeing in your research as well? And how come that didn't translate into more votes than for Hillary Clinton?
I don't know. That's a good question. I would like to actually see the results to break actually how the Latinos vote at the very end of the day, because they were doing the early vote. They were twice as more Latinos as they vote in the previous election, and they were focusing actually on getting more people to vote as well in this election day. That happened in Nevada as well. That happened in California. That happened in other states like Arizona, but Arizona actually didn't turn out to be a blue state. I still would like to see what the end results actually tells, because in Florida, I was expecting as well that Latinos will vote for Democrats more. Apparently, new Puerto Ricans there are voting Democrats, and new generations of Cubans are also voting Democrats. But
I just want to say one more thing about women, of course, which is huge, which is the fact that she's the first woman candidate that we have from a major party. And besides being a photographer and a women's rights activist, I'm a leadership coach. And that's one of the things that women face being in a leadership role, is that she has all of the qualities that we normally associate with men. And I think a lot of women understand that. working women or women trying to get their families, you know, we understand the difficulty that women face. And so I think, therefore, you see even more of a gender divide because we really wanted to see. The United States is 96 in the world in women in politics, in national politics. 96. Germany's not 26, so that's pretty good. But it's time that we had a woman president, and unfortunately, it didn't happen.
That was time, especially with
and
Hillary
she's the
Clinton.
most qualified candidate ever.
50 years also struggling in the men's world.
Yeah.
She had to be.
Yeah.
So a lot of frustration, anger, disbelief among both women and Latino voters today. But we can't forget that Donald Trump did have, albeit a smaller group, some Latinos for Trump voters, some women for Trump voters. How did he manage to pull those on board?
Well, Latinos who vote conservative, they do that because they're very religious. I mean, if we see in Texas or other states where the Latino population are 50% religious, they actually like values like those ones from the Republican Party. They want to keep the family. They're against same-sex marriage. They just want to have more jobs, and they just want these values.
I mean, there's also a group that was founded, which is Republican Women for Hillary.
Right.
And I don't want to talk against my sisters who voted for Trump, because that's not what we're here to do. And frankly, I don't understand it. I think it's a party line issue, and I think, you know, they just vote Republican. And I think there is some aspect of Hillary being who she is and being the leader, it rubs some women the wrong way.
There were also some Latinos who were tired of the recession. Not all of the Latinos in the United States are looking for immigration reform. Right. They're also looking for jobs. They're also looking for a better economy. And they have a percentage of almost 13% of unemployment in the country. And they're waiting to be better. They're waiting to have more jobs, better health care. So, yeah, I think that's why there were also some voting for the Republican Party.
And, okay, all right. Well, we have to wrap that conversation up, unfortunately. Yadsin Botello, an editor for DW's Latin America service, and My-Linh Kunst, a photographer and the president of the America Women's Club here in Berlin. I want to thank you both very much for sharing your insights with us here today.
Thank you for having us.